What's up, YouTube? I'm here to show y'all how to do an alternator in a 2012 Acura TL. Customers complain of the battery light coming on and also a whining noise as well. So you notice you start the vehicle up. See the battery light's on. So when the battery light comes on, the check charging system light comes on, the computer is seeing that it's getting no charge from the alternator. I'm going to show you how to check that as well real fast before we change this alternator, because I've already diagnosed it. I just want to show you guys how to do this. I don't know if you can hear that whining or not. That's the alternator making all that noise. You want to pull this cover off if you have a cover in your way. Turn your voltmeter to volts DC. Touch your leads on the battery. Notice 1211 should be at about 13 to 14 volts. That confirms it right there, plus the noise that it's making as well. Let's go ahead and shut this bad boy off, and I'm going to show you how to change this alternator. I've already got the part right here. Make sure you get a good quality part. Denso is OE. I always put Denso if I can on your Hondas and Acuras. Alright, take off your battery terminals. You can take just the ground off if you want to, but I take both off. It's just me. Alright. Take this cover out of your way. Take your coolant jug out of the way. It just pulls up, slides into a track. Let's go ahead and pop your belt off. Your tensioner is right here. It's a 14mm bolt. You're going to be wanting to go counterclockwise. Push back. Reach down there and just slip your belt off the alternator. And just tuck your belt out of the way. Now if you're reusing the belt, which I will be, now on this one you're going to have to take the tensioner pulley off, because the alternator belt, or the alternator bolt, is behind that pulley, the bottom alternator bolt. So the way you take that pulley off is you're going to go clockwise to loosen the bolts. This bolt is reverse thread. Once you get it loose, just reach down there with your fingers. Take it the rest of the way out. Just wiggle a little pulley back and forth. It'll come off. So on this model, I think I'm going to have to take the tensioner all the way off, because even after taking that pulley off, still behind that. So what size is that tensioner? It looks like an Allen head. So let me walk back to my box. Grab a few different sizes here. Hard to tell. Now, since this tensioner is having to come off, it's probably a good time to change it, if you want to, and your belt as well. But the customer didn't want to buy it. I recommended it. He just wanted to do the bare minimum. And that's okay, because the belt's not cracking and the tensioner feels strong. Alright. 6mm Allen head. So once you get this, no, my hands ain't working today. There she is. This is why I always keep a magnet. For shit like that. There we go. Now once you take that bolt off, you'll be able to swivel this thing back out of your way. I'm not changing it. So I'm going to leave the bottom bolt alone, because this is going to have a bottom bolt down there too. Just get it out of the way enough to get to that bottom alternator bolt. But if you're changing it, you're going to have to go through the wheel well. Probably take the tire off to get to that bottom bolt on the tensioner assembly. So it's a 14mm, but because it's close to the body of the car, I'm going to go get a medium wheel. Notice this is like half the length of the other one. Trying to give y'all some light so you can see. Now, if you don't have an electric ratchet, you're going to have to do this with your manual ratchet. But eventually, you might get it loose enough. There you go. So take it the rest of the way out by hand. Boom. Yeah, it's kind of a tight spot. It's your bottom bolt. Alright, now I'm going to take this tin out in the wiring harness. Pull this rubber boot back and push your clip in to unplug your alternator. Now pull this other rubber boot back to expose the battery wire, which is a 12mm. And you're going to want to save this nut because the new alternator didn't come with it. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Alright. Now that we got all this out of the way, you're going to take your 12mm bolt, the top alternator bolt out, and the 12mm bolt back on the back side that holds this bracket on. Everything's wanting to slide and fall today. One. Note, this one's shorter. The alternator bolt is longer and the threads are built into the bracket. Set that aside. Now your alternator's loose. But if you look, they have the AC wire connected to the back. Right there. So you gotta get that off the back of the alternator. So grab you some long needle nose pliers. Get on the back of that tab. Pull that out. There you go. And unplug the AC down there. Screen tab. Push that in, unplug it, and pull it out of the back of that hole right there in the alternator. Then you can swing that aside and get it completely out of your way. Just wiggle the alternator back and forth. I'll get with you in a minute. Now, if you noticed when I was pulling the alternator out, I bent this AC line a little bit, and that's okay. Just be slow about it. Bend it back, then you can pull the alternator out. It hits it a little bit. So take your new alternator. Just check and make sure it's right. Everything looks right. Push it down in there. Grab your bottom bolt. Feed your bottom bolt through. Started a couple threads. But don't tighten it yet, because you're going to need wiggle room to get this top one started. First thing you want to do, put the back bolt on, the bracket. Don't tighten that either. Grab your other 12, push the alternator back, start your other bolt. Now tighten your two 12s first. Nice and tight. Tight. And now you can tighten your 14 down here. Now once you tighten this bolt, there's a tab. I'm going to show you on the old alternator. This tab right here will slide out to make it tight. Alright. Might have enough room now to put my electric ratchet on it. Now if you don't have an electric ratchet at home, you're just going to have to keep on ratcheting it. Alright. Now I'm going to take my ratchet again just to make sure it's tight, because that ratchet I have is not very strong, so just to give it one final good. It's a nice little snug. Alright, now while you got all this wiring and all that crap out of your way, you get a little more room to work with down here on the belt tensioner. So we're going to go ahead and put the belt and everything back on first. Remember the center bolt? Put that back in first. And earlier my socket fell down there. 6mm Allen head for the center bolt on the tensioner assembly. You gotta love it when you can turn the bolt by hand and then it stops and you gotta put the ratchet back on it. Look, it's doing it again. Cars like to fuck with you. Part of my French. And There we go again. It'll feel like it's getting loose, and I'll turn it a couple turns, and then once my ratchet back. I guess it starts to miss my ratchet. Almost. All right. Now that that's nice and tight, go ahead and get your belt routed, kinda, sorta. Put your pulley back on. Now remember, it's counterclockwise on this bolt. Just tighten it. It'll be counterclockwise, unlike most bolts that are clockwise. Once you get it tightened down most of the way with your fingers, grab your 14 millimeter, preferably a long 14. Tighten it the rest of the way. When it gets tight enough, notice when it gets tight enough, your tensioner will start moving. So go ahead and put your belt under the tensioner. Now this tensioner is so close to the air conditioner, it almost touches, so you got to pull back on it a little bit to tuck it underneath there. Make sure your belt is on all the pulleys. Not cocked, because you'll have a hard time putting it back on. You always want to double check to make sure it's even on all the ribs. Okay. Now the hard part's over. Go ahead and do the AC wire first. Get my light. Pop it back in the hole so it doesn't get burned on the exhaust. Plug that in. Put your protective boot back on. Grab your 12. Hand start it. which it does spoot back on. Your 10 to secure the wiring harness. Right here. And remember I told you how to bend that AC line out of your way? Just bend it back. That way it's not rubbing the bottle. I've done this a million times. I've never busted a line. Put that back on. Get all your tools out of the way so you don't lose them. Now you can put these covers back on whenever you're done. I'm just going to go ahead and put the battery back on so I can show you. The noise is gone and this should be charging as long as I got a good alternator, which Denso usually most of the time are good. I don't have many problems with Denso alternators. Make sure your terminals are tight. Now, take off my torn, dirty gloves. Let's start this bad boy up. Make sure all these warning lights are off and battery voltage goes back to normal, which should be between 13 and 14 volts. Okay, notice the battery light's off. Let's go back to the battery on DC voltage. Don't hear the whining no more. There you go. Boom. 14 volts. This guy's fixed. Just like that. Let's go ahead and shut it off so I can put these engine covers back on. But I'm pretty sure y'all can handle that yourself. So, at any rate, I hope this video was informative. Y'all have a good day. This alternator is going to be almost exactly the same for all Honda V6s. The 3.5 liters, the 3.0 liters, the 3.2 liters, the alternator is in the same spot. So probably the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years they put that alternator right there in the top spot. There might be a couple differences, but for the most part it's going to be similar on most cars. At any rate, y'all have a good day. Please check like down below. Please subscribe. Peace out, YouTube.